What's up, OJ? Hey guys, we'll get going here in a couple minutes. First off, for you replay viewers and stuff, I apologize I haven't had a chance to get this video up with spring break and vacations and all that stuff. It's been pretty difficult to get going. And then last night I had planned to, but the internet actually went out and Facebook wasn't coming up. So we're live here on Periscope and Facebook. We'll let a couple more people join into the room, and then we won't waste too much time, and we'll get going. Real quick, before I forget as well, make sure, I think on Periscope, if you swipe to the right, you can share this video with all your friends and your followers. Like I said before, we want to try to expand this and grow this as much as we can. I also want to create a bigger audience so we can get some more questions rolling in, and I can offer as much of advice as physically possible during the 20 minutes or so that we're on this. So today, I'm sure you guys saw in the title, it's obviously the Diamond Show. We're going to talk about an article I wrote about a year ago, right before we had tryouts for our whole program. And basically the title of that article was A Parent's Guides on Steps to Creating a Winning Young Man and Positively Enhancing Your Child's Youth Baseball Experience. So with the travel ball seasons getting going, kind of into the middle of things, we're really starting to roll into our travel ball seasons. I thought it was very fitting that we talk about some ways that we can obviously positively enhance our youth development, our relationships with our kids. I've only been doing this for about 5 years, but I have seen a lot of awesome things, and I've also seen a lot of things that parents and coaches can get better at. That's why, and the motivation for the article I did write. So I've got about, I think there's 8 steps outlined in this article. If you want to read it yourself, go ahead and visit tpanc.com, and you can. There's a link to the article on there. There's also some links on my Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and that good stuff. So we'll go over kind of the 8 things that I outlined in this article. And if you guys have any questions at the end, feel free to shoot them my way. I think we only have a couple of viewers in right now. It's the middle of the day. I don't expect a lot. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and go through this. So the first one I have on here is be a silent source of encouragement. Don't coach. So when you're bringing your kids to the field, fortunate we have a program where there's no outside dads coaching, or no dads coaching, no people associated with the players and their team coaching. So we really do make our parents, when they drop their kids off the field, turn them over to us. I think that should still hold true to youth ball players. When you guys are, or little league, when you guys are dropping your kids off at the field, turn them over to the coach and trust that coach. All right, you just need to be a silent source of encouragement. All the yelling and the necessary coaching during the game is really, believe it or not, putting more pressure on them and on the kids, and it won't help them in the long run. The more pressure that they have, the less they're definitely going to succeed. All right, all the yelling you do is definitely not going to help. At the end of the day, when the game is over, a lot of times the kids, all they want to hear is that you love them and that they did a good job that day. All right, and that'll go far, far, far further than all the yelling and many little corrections during the game. So we need to make sure that we're being a silent source of encouragement. Next one I have is focus on the process, not the results. All right, this game is a game of failure, and if we consistently worry about our results, we're going to get so caught up in that we're not going to have the results that we want. All right, so we focus on the process. Basically what that means is whatever we're working on that day, we really hone in on that. We don't worry about, obviously the results going on. So when I have kids in the cage or we're working in practice setting, I really try to have them shun away or block off anything that happens beyond the tee. Now, we do need to learn from our results. If we're consistently rolling over the baseball, all right, what do we do to correct that? If we're hitting ground balls, we're hitting fly balls, we're underneath, we do need to learn from that, but we don't need to solely focus on that. All right, it's very, very important that we focus on the actual process. And a lot of people, I've read a lot of books and a lot of stuff, they talk about setting goals and kind of creating an outline for yourself. Well, that goes into the same thing with baseball and our practice. So every single day we need to kind of have our goals set and, focus on that process of achieving our goals. All right. You can't just go from point A to point B like that. All right. It takes some time. All right, so it takes some time to achieve those goals. That's why we're setting them. So focus on the process, not the results, is huge, especially for younger kids because they're always worried about how they're doing. Third one I have here, all right, is don't determine success strictly by winning and losing. All right, yes, we want to teach our kids, especially here at TBA, we want to teach our kids how to compete, but it is not everything when we lose. All right, I'm a firm believer in that we need to learn how to lose before we really truly can value winning. All right, if winning comes easy all the time, when you do and when you are faced with adversity later in life, you're going to shut down. All right, if you learn how to lose and you learn how to deal with that failure, that'll make winning be all that more special. One of the things that just pops in my head right now is you think about Michael Jordan. I'm from Chicago, so I'll talk on Chicago Bulls' behalf, and I know different sport, but it all applies. So you think about him and all the success that he had before he won his first championship in 1990, and I think he was a league MVP, he was an all-star, he pretty much had done everything individually, but he talks about how there's such a void missing because the 3 years in a row, I think it was the Detroit Pistons or whatever, knocked him out of the playoffs. And that was frustrating. That was eating him up, right? But I really believe that that's what made it so special for him when he did win that first one. And then after he won that first championship, man, there was 2 more after that. And then when he came back to the game of basketball, he had 3 more, right? He really valued winning that championship. He really valued what it took, the process that it took to win that. And to me, that was only instilled in him because he had to lose. He had to go through the failure. All right, so don't focus so much on winning and losing. It goes back to my second point. It is a process. We need to learn how to lose before we truly value what it's like to win. All right, so the fourth one, we've got teach the value of teamwork. This one goes far beyond, just like any of the stuff that we talked about, goes far beyond the game of baseball. Teaching the value of teamwork. When our kids get older, our athletes get older, they're going to have to work with teams, regardless of if they're still successfully playing baseball and or in the real world, which 99.9% of them will be. So we need to teach them the value of working with their teams, working with their coaches. Regardless if you like the person next to you or you don't, you need to work with them, and you need to learn how to work with them. So we really preach a team culture. When you are together with us for the couple hours at practice, or you're with your team for the couple hour practice, really think about that team culture. I don't care if you like that guy next to you or not. You guys are going to war. You're going to battle together, and you guys will have a much better chance together than apart. This goes even further in the value of teamwork. We talk about being a team player. We could talk about hitting and fielding and pitching and competing all day. A lot of times when we get up to the plate, from a hitting standpoint, we're so worried about what we're doing individually, and that is negative towards winning. All right? It's not going to make you a better baseball player. If you're so worried about how your individual accolades are stacking up, what your average is, how many home runs you have, how many ribbies, how many doubles throughout the year, I promise at the end of the year you're not going to be as satisfied as you would be if you approach that in a team aspect. What can I do here to help my team in this situation and in the tournament, in the game, in the season, whatever. If you have a team concept, I promise at the end of the year, you will look at those stats and be very, very satisfied with what you have. And if not, at least your team will. If you've got 12 guys pulling together as one unit consistently throughout the year, I guarantee you by the end of the year, one, you're going to have a very, very positive outcome, and you're probably going to win a lot of games and win a lot of championships in your local youth leagues and rec leagues and whatnot. So that's the fourth one. For a parents one, this one is huge. This is your dream, right? Question mark? No, we're wrong. All right, it is not your dream. It's your kid's dream. All right, there's too many parents. I see it all the time in our travel ball tournaments, when I go to high school games and whatnot. I see too many parents living through their kids. I get it. It can be hard. I don't have kids right now, but I would say I have about 30 or 40 in this facility. When we're constantly living through our kids, it's too much pressure for them. And it's not about you. It's about them. All right. It's about what they want. When we're constantly worried about what our kids are doing and we dive into it too much, it has a completely negative effect on them. All right, so sometimes check yourself at the door and say, you know what, this is about my son. This is not about me. If your son fails, I see this so many times. If your son fails, it's like the parents are throwing just as much of a temper tantrum as the kids. All right, when the kid looks over there and he sees that, what do you think he's going to think? He's going to think that he completely let you down, and now there's more pressure the next time he gets up to the plate. All right, so like I said, going back to the first one, be a silent source of encouragement. All right, don't live through him and with our successes and failures. Be kind of that consistent role model and silent source of encouragement for them throughout their seasons. The next one I have is coach is always right, even when he's wrong. All right, I'm a coach, and I have 4 or 5 coaches that work in our program and coach our teams. And I think one of the biggest issues in youth baseball these days is, you've got your head coach, and then you've got the 12 dads or parents that think they can do just as good, if not better. And they're consistently offering advice or trying to offer advice to the coaches. And that creates a huge issue. And not only that, but if the coach makes a wrong decision, which we're going to, I've made plenty of wrong decisions in my coaching life and even playing life. So we're going to make wrong decisions, but that's how we learn as coaches and as players. But if the coach makes a wrong decision and or he's playing you in not the position that you like, or as a parent, you don't like where your son is playing, if on the way home you start talking to your kid and you tell him, the coach should have made this, he should have done this, he should have done that, that's going to outline a negative image towards your coach. And now your kid is slowly going to kind of disrespect or not view your coach in the same light. And it's going to create a negative influence on him. There's nothing good about, going to the game and your kid basically, feeling like he knows more than what the coach does. That's not how life works. When you get into the real world, you can't be, thinking that you constantly know more than your boss. You might, but you can't let people know that. All right, and that's going to negatively affect the way that you work and go about your business. All right, so we need to start instilling more of that. Hey, coach is right 24/7. If you do have an issue, right, then step away from your kid after the tournament, after whatnot, and call that coach and have a candid conversation. You might be surprised. That coach might be willing to say that he was wrong in that situation. All right, and that it won't happen again, and that's how we learn. All right, if you consistently negatively, bashing him in front of your kid, that's not going to create a good outcome and a good rest of the season for him. Next one. I have them stay in your lane. All right, what this means is, I'll just read this one to you guys. Gossip these days in youth sports is way out of control. Parents are emotionally involved in their kids, and I fully understand that. However, if you're looking for your son or daughter to have the best possible experience, stay in your lane and away from the gossip. All right, a lot of times there's a lot of things that go on in travel ball tournaments and high school games and whatnot. Step away from that gossip stuff. All right, all that is negative emotion and wanting to feel bad for me, and that's why I'm starting this gossip. All right, it's eventually going to get back to coaching staffs, other players, and it's just, again, it's going to create a whole negative look at the way the season's going, the coach, everything involved. And the title of what this Periscope and Facebook Live broadcast is how to positively enhance. All right, we can't positively enhance when we're consistently being negative. All right, and gossiping and trying to bring the whole team down, and that will happen. All it does is take one parent, one player, one person that negative cancer, for lack of a better term, on the team to really destroy things. And one person can bring the whole team down, and then at the end of the year or 6 months later, you realize that you haven't won many games and you haven't won any tournaments, and the season really hasn't turned out the way you had hoped or you had thought going into the season. Next one I have is let the kids learn to let your kids overcome obstacles. This is life. You know, I'm young. I'm only 29 years old, but there's plenty of obstacles I've had to overcome in my life, and there's going to be plenty more. If we're consistently putting a bubble around our kids and making excuses for them and consistently trying to justify, you know, what they have going on, they're truly not going to learn from their mistakes or from situations. All right, you got to have some tough love sometimes. You know, let them go through the ups and downs. What a thought that consistently comes to my mind is, you know, that baseball player that is unbelievable when he's 8, 9, 10 years old. Everybody talks about him. He's the greatest player around. You know, he can do no wrong. I want my son to be like him. He's the best player on the team, best player on the team. He's kind of treated like he's God's gift to baseball. Well, as we get older and kids start getting stronger and the game gets a little bit bigger and gets a little bit faster, that kid may not be as successful because he hasn't really been taught the value of hard work, hasn't really had to overcome obstacles, and or he might not be that great, but there's always parents making excuses for him, so he really hasn't had to overcome any obstacles. Well, too many times that kid, by the time he's in high school, is the kid that's not playing baseball anymore. And everybody's looking at him being like, holy cow, you remember how good he was? He was unbelievable. All right, and that's because of what we create as coaches, as parents. All right, we create this bubble around them, and I get it. We want to constantly protect our kids, but we got to have tough love. We got to let them overcome their obstacles and handle adversity. And at the end, you know, when it is time, and baseball is, you know, or other sports are becoming you know, a little bit more important. You know, we're trying to get that college scholarship and or we're trying to get to the next level. You know, having that in the back of your mind, knowing that you know how to face adversity is going to set yourself apart from those other kids. All right, so that all starts from a young age. You know, let them overcome their obstacles and teach them how to handle adversity by having some tough love. All right, let's see here. Teach the rewards of failure. Another great one. All right, like I said earlier in this broadcast, you know, we can't learn how to be successful unless we learn how to fail. We can't or we don't value winning unless we've really lost and learned how to lose. It means a lot more when we've gone through so much failures and or losing and then come out on top. All right, so we need to teach that, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of times we view failure negatively, as opposed to you know, teaching our kids that this is an opportunity to learn from it and come out of it. All right. I always tell our younger kids that if you're not failing, you know, then I can't do my job. Right? You can't get better, and that's not going to help you in the long run. All right. So we need to teach the rewards of failure, and I think this goes even deeper. And if we teach the rewards, then kids won't be as afraid to fail. And that's one of the biggest issues these days is kids are truly afraid to fail out on the baseball field and or in life and or in other sports. And if we can consistently, you know, let them know that it's all right to fail, that's how we learn. You'd be surprised, coaches and players that are listening, you'd be surprised. They're going to be better baseball players. Guarantee it. And more importantly, better human beings the rest of their life. So, you know, there's this big push lately in baseball about being more athletic, bringing athletes back to the game. There's too much paralysis by analysis with social media and everything going on. Well, I think this adds to it. You know, too many kids are thinking about how to be perfect instead of just going after and attacking it and then learning from their failures. All right, and that's because, again, we put a bubble over our kids and our athletes, you know, life and their sports performance, and we don't teach the rewards of failure. I think it's very, very important. Couple more. The last one I have is love them unconditionally. All right. Like I said in the very, very beginning, guys, you know, it's it's one of those things where we need to be a silent source of encouragement. You know, they're kids at the end of the day. They don't want to see you throwing temper tantrums when they strike out, or make an error in the field, or pop the ball up, or not get the game-winning hit, and then you're kind of pissed off at them the whole way home. They truly want you to love them, and if they fail, you know, they want to look back and not see that you're disappointed, because ultimately you're not playing. You might be upset for them because you understand what they're going through, right? But you can't be upset. You can't show that you're upset, all right? And definitely can't act like you're pissed off because they didn't do something right, all right? I think that's one of the most ridiculous things. So kids want to be loved unconditionally. You know, on the way home, they want you to simply say that, hey, you did a great job, all right? You know, when we're practicing with them in here, I think, you know, stop analyzing every single swing and every little thing that they do. We do that as coaches, but we only do that with one or two things at a time. And as coaches, it's our job to understand who can handle that and who can't. And a lot of times, from a parent standpoint, it takes a much personal level, so it doesn't work. All right, and too many times I see here in the cage, out at the field and in the cages before, too many parents and coaches are commenting on every little thing that their players do. And 99.9% of it is not mental. They're not talking about, hey, you need to attack, swing it hard, swing it hard. It's about, oh, your hands need to be here, you're striding too far, you're striding open, you're not, you know, rotating your backside, you're not keeping your head down, keep your head down. I mean, it gets so overwhelming to these kids that it creates paralysis by analysis. And they won't be successful, I can promise you that. All right, but if we're, you know, continually telling them good job, not a false sense of confidence, but continue to tell them good job, swing it hard, just swing it hard, be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive. Don't worry about failing. All right, you'd be surprised by the end of that training session or the end of the end of the week or the end of the tournament. You know, hopefully they'll be a lot more successful in their results. But baseball's a failing game, but at least they'll come out of it positively and they'll be able to build on that. All right, so very, very important that you love them unconditionally. Like I said in the very beginning, guys, you can shoot to the website. I just, you know, kind of paraphrase the paragraphs that I had in here. And in this article, you can jump onto tpanc.com and type in letter from a director, parents' guide on steps to creating a winning young man and positively enhancing your child's youth baseball experience. This stuff works. I've seen it. I've been coaching in youth sports for the last 5 years. I know I'm young, but last 5 years, and these are the biggest points that I see going on every single day out in the youth field. And we've, you know, tried to adapt it with our coaches and some of our parents, and it's amazing. You know, kind of the success and the smiles that kids have on their faces when they really don't have any added pressure, and they've been taught, you know, the certain values that we outlined today. So, again, like I said before, I apologize that I didn't get this out on Tuesday night. I was on a little bit of a vacation, and last night we had a little bit of issue with connecting to Facebook and the internet and whatnot. So, continue to plan to do this every single Tuesday night. You know, we'll for the replay viewers, we'll release it once a week. You'll see it, and like I said, we're growing. So definitely, if you're on Periscope, slide to the right, share it, click the stars, so we can kind of grow this business. And then on Facebook, do the same thing, share it through your Facebook community. You know, we're gonna go over a lot of things in terms of baseball. Pitching, hitting, fielding, different topics per week, kind of what we're seeing out in the tournaments, and then on the in the cages in here with our kids and situations that we're kind of going through. So we're going to kind of talk and evolve this broadcast, you know, network, whatever it is, you know, through our experiences that we're seeing through the day. We're going to have some of my coaches will be chiming in. I might do some interviews with some college coaches around here. Some of the professional athletes that we do have coming to the building. And I think it's going to be a great learning tool for our community in the Raleigh area. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you like and share the video. And then jump onto, if you get a chance, jump onto my YouTube page. I think it's in my Periscope bio or whatnot. Jump into that. Look at some of the videos that we have going on. I release a video every single Friday. I call it Film Friday. I release a new video every Friday for you guys to check out and kind of what we're teaching and what we have going on at TPA. So thanks again for joining, guys. We'll look to see you guys on Tuesday. Appreciate it.